All right, we will go ahead and get started with roll call. Deb? Ed?
Here.
Pace? April?
Here.
Kevin?
Here.
William?
Here.
And Lisa.
Here.
All right, so welcome everyone to April 9th Advisory Board Phase 1 meeting. And we will now start with the review and approval of the last meeting minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. The last meeting was held on March 12th. The review of the January 8th meeting minutes were approved. Ms. Aileen Calvo presented an IVMB update for Phase 1. There was no stakeholder outreach update at the meeting or a policy and decision review. Kristen Gray presented an updated Phase 1 project schedule. There was no financial update at the meeting. Project updates began on page 2 with DL issuance, followed by motors maintenance and FR, my DMV portal, and continued on to page 3 with SIDLIS and citation processing and renewal notification. There was Kristen Green stated an all-day letter meeting was scheduled for March 14th. There were no questions from members present, and the meeting was adjourned at 1:30 p.m. And on page 4, you can see the items that were included in the meeting packet prior to the meeting.
Any comments, questions, corrections?
Just glad to be here, no thank you.
Move to approve. Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we'll capture that as Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. All right, thank you. We'll mark these as approved.
Okay, next we'll have the IVMB update from Ellen.
Hello, everyone. So we'll be covering a February, that's hard to say, report. This has some exciting news, so you'll see up in the corner that the risk state is green. We did close the process improvement related to OCM for this monthly period, so you'll see that that facet is now green as well as the rest of the queue. So great job to the team for getting through those recommendations. Also, as far as the schedule performance index is at 0.987. The schedule will likely start doing our forecasting again by next period. There should be enough months on the new schedule to start showing those forecasting a little bit better. Right now, and I think we can go to the key indicators slide. So for this one, we've been looking at the schedule performance index in light of those forecasting models that we have. And so schedule performance metrics continue to decrease. They're at 5,000 hours between actual and planned. So that is steadily decreasing for this period. So you'll see the bullseye is right close to the bullseye, or the dot is close to the bullseye. And you can start to see that bow wave getting a little bit thinner as that difference decreases. And then again, the schedule quality continues to stay really good, 94.6, so no concerns there. And then the last slides just show that we've closed the process improvement for organizational change management. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, and I was going to do this as part of the project updates, but I'm going to go ahead and have Craig, if he can, go ahead and do his OCM update now. Okay, I know you keep changing, right?
Chairs were full, and I wanted to make sure we had enough for Kevin when he got here.
Maybe number 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. The OCM program continues to make progress on its schedule. So we can move to slide 2. This is the executive summary report of the OCM program in Phase 1. And it's in a format similar to what many of the other team members in Phase 1 are using to communicate the status of the projects. As you can see from the lights on the left, which provide the leading indicators of the schedule, the program is on schedule for strategy, implement change, and measure and evaluate. We're in amber and planning, but trending toward green, and it should soon be on schedule. The middle box indicates the upcoming tasks and milestones of significance, such as change champions and assessment of the knowledge gaps. and I'll discuss that further on the next slide. Additionally, this report has areas for key risks and issues and upcoming milestones. The dates in parentheses are the milestone dates, and the OCM team meets daily to address these tasks and schedule items, and I meet weekly with the OMN leadership to address those milestones and risks on those issues. On the next slide, you can see regarding those upcoming milestones, we've identified 90% of our change champions, and the only outstanding members to be named are from the FHP group. And we have a meeting scheduled on Friday to work through some of those details, and then that should complete this milestone. We're making progress assessing the current knowledge for the knowledge transfers. ISA has progressed well in the development of the knowledge transfer process, and then that framework will be used as a template for the other groups going forward. We're 90% complete through our meetings with the business areas, and I anticipate us staying on schedule with the engagement plans for the business areas. And because of that groundwork, we'll continue to make progress through the rest of those areas. The primary schedule influencers that I spoke of earlier are prompting our amber stoplight. Therefore, I anticipate us achieving all of our future milestones. So the next slide is just to see if anybody has any questions. No? Okay, thank you very much for your time.
All right. Next on the agenda is stakeholder outreach call.
So over the last several months, Andrea, Kat, and I have been meeting with the comms office to discuss portal focus groups, essentially usability testing of the portal with customers throughout the state of Florida. A couple months ago, we started discussing with a member of UF who does these kinds of focus groups and survey results that we contracted with before. Last week, we met with Kevin, Geraldine, Jamie, and Jonathan over in legal to discuss contract and scope of work, so they're going to start helping us out with that. We're focusing on hosting the focus groups between May and July in the coming months, and then have a evaluation and survey results back by early August, which is during UAT, so we'll still have some time if anything is completely broken, which we hope not, and expect everything to be perfect. But that way we'll have these survey results from customers throughout the state. We'll be testing with laptops, cell phones, Spanish, Class C license replacement and renewal, and CDL as well. Any questions?
Corey, have any information on demographics or groups or whatever we identified?
I think we're doing 6 different locations, North Florida, South Florida, Central Florida, 8 to 10 members per group. Again, South Florida will do Spanish only. And then the CDL drivers, we're looking at working with FTA to try and get some members of their team.
And this is originally, I think, originally we had planned to do focus group here locally. We took this to the ESC, communications, Beth and her team got involved, and now we have this organized, certainly probably maybe a little more formal than what we were anticipating previously, but I think this will help, especially different regions of the state, getting that feedback well before we, launch the portal, and that way we'll make sure we covered all bases, we've gotten all the input that we need to get, and we'll get that feedback, and we'll, as Cora mentioned, analyze and see where we need to go from there. Of course, there'll probably be a report that we will present to ESC and get our marching orders from that. Of course, we'll bring that to the advisory board as well. Whatever findings we have from that, we'll also bring it back to you all. So, all right. Okay. Next on the agenda, there's no policy and decision review, so that's great. And financial review, Janice?
Good afternoon. This is for March 31st, and phase 1 continues to show our LBR issuances. The only change is the 1920 figure. We did originally, when we put out phase 1 LBR, the 4B, it was 1.8 million. Now we are requesting 2.3 million to finish out the fiscal year. Our current budget for phase 1 for this fiscal year is 7.5. Actuals through March 31st, we've expended 5.2 million. Our budgets to actuals are actually showing a 0% variance fiscal year to date and month to date, with remaining of 1.9 so that should be submitted within the next week. And then phase two, we have made some changes to the budget for the out years from 2019 to 2023, and those numbers have gone in to downtown, so we'll see where those end up. But right now, for 18-19, our budget is $5 million, our actuals are 3.2. And we also have a 0% variance fiscal year to date and monthly with our remaining funds at 1.8 million. Pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any questions?
Wow, okay, no questions for Janice. Move on now to program project updates. Deal issuance, Joe?
Yes, so starting with deal issuance, the team profiles shifted a little bit. We lost one of our developers, and we'll be losing some of our testers shortly as there's some additional projects starting up across the department that will push some of those testers away. From a testing perspective, our bug count's actually gone down a little bit from when this was done. We actually completed all of our sprint development other than the CR that was just approved at ESC last week, yesterday, so the team started to focus on bug work, and that will continue. If you look at the functional area and effort remaining, what this represents is about 20 stories that still need to be tested. They're in some form of testing right now. Half of them are already in testing, the others will be tested. If you turn to that next slide, you'll see that we had projected that done by the 29th of March and testing by the 10th of April. So that'll be testing by tomorrow. We're forecasting we'll complete testing and wrap up sprint testing by the end of this month. And as I said, we actually completed development yesterday. So we're about a week behind schedule on development and about 2 weeks behind on testing. Hence, we were red for development and testing. Testing got yellow and business action is red, just because we still have some pending CRs you can see there in the middle. So BLS 3.2 update, that's an update that operations is going to make. We'll need to make the same update before we go live. There's a pending CR related to customer stops, and that's there was a table trigger that was adding stops, and we need to get that taken out of the trigger and put in code. There's also a change that Department of Homeland Security made to the admission number format, and that change in format is going to require a change request for both motor maintenance and deal issuance to update that. We also are looking at changes for password change right now. Orion doesn't have a way to change a password. That can only be done through Fidless and Fribus. So that needs to be built into the Orion core module to be able to do password resets. And the technical folks are taking a look at that, figure out the best solution to that. To discuss several things, whether it's Active Directory, etc. And then we also, Purge Delete was not in scope for phase one, but there's still some work remaining to do related to that and the way it interacts for Penny Vendor, which is a batch process that we did as part of phase one that we send to stakeholders when records are updated. So if a record was deleted or purged, we need to send that update as well. Any questions for me where we're at for phase one for deal issuance?
And Joe, you said all of your sprint work is done, it's just CR.
From a development perspective, other than the CR that was just approved last week.
Great. Any questions for Joe? Okay. Motors maintenance FR, Scott?
Thank you, Terrence. Going to our motors maintenance FR slides, you'll notice that our resources have dropped from our targeted originally developers from 8, we're down to 5.5. This was one of the issues we brought up, impacting our first quarter in the key risk and issues. Obviously, we've overcome by events. The resources that are assigned are working overtime to kind of mitigate the challenges of having a smaller work staff. But the impacts to having such a smaller work staff is QAT testing is going to be impacted, and performance testing. So we're doing our best, but those are the two you'll start hearing in the next couple weeks, months about UAT being impacted, because motors maintenance itself is a test tool that everybody uses to make sure data is updated from their side. So we'll talk with management and figure out a plan of attack for that to address that. But those two items are on our radar. If you notice functional areas, we're doing well with development. We've got AMBA, offline verification of the CR, that's waiting on data from AMBA itself. We've got 1 hour left of testing. Another one over there, DL convenience renewal queue. We are demoing that next week. some of the subject matter experts that need to be part of the demo are not present this week, so we want to make sure that everybody's there when we demo it. Then we're getting into the other remaining UAT misrequirements. You see we've got 2 hours for the change request 175. And of course, the 2 items that are going to run the longest is CR 179, which is the changes for special services and technical debt. We're running into the end of April. We're trending about 2 weeks behind with that. So hopefully we'll pick up and address that. And hit list as well, an item that came in later. It's change request 186. I apologize, it's not on that slide. That'll be running out towards the end of April. You'll notice that on the next slide, Chance. Business actions are yellow from the standpoint of development. Requirements, development is yellow as well. We're working overtime to just do the work, but as I said, performance testing and user acceptance testing is impacted. Testing as well is impacted because of the fact that they're also supporting multiple facets of UAT, and I think some other projects are coming up. So we've got them yellow, they may be trending red because there's some other critical projects coming up from the operations side of the house that we need to keep a focus on. You see the pending change requests that we have on our radar, customer stops. You heard that earlier. I believe Joe referenced it as well. We've got 113 hours that if it's approved, we have to plan that. And then, of course, mission number change was a change request Joe referenced. Here, we're actually going to leverage our OpenX support staff assigned to the project. So this one might not be as big of an impact, but we have it listed there. We're going to try to leverage those resources. And we're targeting for currently April 22nd to be complete with development, but we're about 2 weeks behind. And testing is the May 1st. So mid-May towards the end of May, we're looking to wrap up the CR iteration if no other change requests are added to our radar. Any questions specifically for motors maintenance or financial responsibility?
Can you clarify again who's supporting the emissions number change?
So we have Juan and Sam assigned to our team that Julius, their manager, identified as being able to do that change.
Okay.
So they're assigned to that the team, and hopefully we can let them to make sure we address that. But once that's approved, they will be brought into the to discuss the refinement and spring plan. Any other questions? Thank you, back to you, Terrence.
My DOB portal, Andrea.
Thank you, Terrence.
At least we can laugh, right?
Yes. So, my DMV Porter, with the team, we continue to develop with our 2 full-time developers. But last sprint, we had some operations developers that assisted us with some of the development, and we're appreciative of that. We've also, as far as UAT testing, we started some of our stakeholder testing, so our bugs for UAT have increased a little. And as far as the remaining functionality of what we have to develop and test in the middle, we finished since the last time we met, we finished up bar, which was good for us. That was taking us quite a while. We have a sanctioned CR that coming up, which will be our last CR to test, which is further down. We have some transaction updates that we have to complete, basically testing, and that's when we finalize all of our transaction updates that we'll be able to, it's reporting, things like our reporting activity on portal will be in those reports. If you can look at CR 138, that's our military enhancement development is basically complete, and we're almost completed with the testing as well, and that was one of the things that operations assisted us with, and they did a very good job helping us take care of that CR. In the next section, CR 168, 169 are basically changes that we're modifying to my DMV portal to align with what they're currently doing in the current VO system. 173 actually have been closed out. That was validating address changes and when to identify when you really call it an address change to actually have to produce a credential. We're also working on CR 186, which is a hit list, just notifying when we're doing a search and when we're doing updates to records in my DMV portal. And the last CR that we're going to be working on is CR 172, which is the clearing of sanctions, and we're leaving that for last. So, but we are currently moving slightly behind, but more than likely we'll complete development, but it's going to be testing that's going to go over. Some of our key dependencies is still relying on operations to assist us with the development. Also, we're just not sure about what the intent is of the revised ADA approach with testing within Portal, since we thought we took an approach of having someone ADA to test for us already, so I don't know exactly what that's gonna be entailed in that, or if it's gonna impact us at all. Key risk and issues, we still have limited resources, and it has kind of thrown us behind when they've taken off lead time or whatever. The next page, we're showing red for development and red for testing. Business actions is yellow, technical debt is green. We don't have any technical debt that we're working on right now. Some pending change requests that we have. We're also getting approved for customer stocks that will be testing only. So we come and try to incorporate that when we do our sanctions testing. And there'll be change requests coming out, I'm sure, from our UAT as well as from our focus group testing. So our completion date for testing and development is forecast as May 8th, 2019. Any questions?
Andrea, the military enhancement, that was where we have the active duty military, the process to expedite their, okay.
So that's where we're allowing them to submit their credentials and be able to request out-of-country address, as well as to request an extension. They'll be able to go online and do that, and in-house will manage the queue. We're building a queue for them to manage as well.
Okay. All right, any questions for Andrea? All right, SITLIS citation processing, Tanya.
Good afternoon. For citizen citation processing, we have actually completed our milestone work, and we've also completed all of our change requests that are in the IMS. So the citizen citation processing team is primarily working on performance, and their performance testing and UAT. So we're preparing for both those actions. We're no longer 4 strong on developers. We only have 2. Two of our developers are now on the letters team. So they're part of that team. The remaining 2 developers are working with performance testing and UAT. And we also have a couple of CRs that are on the horizon, possibly on the horizon. We'll go to the next screen. We're looking at customer stop CR. And that will add an additional 72 hours to the team for work. So our action items are all green, with the exception of business actions. We had one issue with RAP 3192. We were trying to figure out what we needed to do, what needed to be done. We had our one of our meetings about that today, which was very productive. We found out that most of the work is on the BizTalk side, so there might not be any real work for our team at this point. We just have to run a couple of tests and verify that this RAP was actually put into production over 2 years ago, so we're thinking everything that we need for OMM is in place for this RAP. Now there's the issue of RAP 3805, which the team was written for RAP 3194. It's a long story, but at any rate, that RAP is not yet approved. It's ready to work, but not approved for operations. So we'll see where we go from there. They're talking about trying to get it prioritized and getting it on the list, but right now, there's no work for us. Are there any questions for citizen citation processing?
Okay, renewal.
Renewals. The renewal team is working on the DL notices. We still have one developer that's, well, we put him as a half developer assigned because he's also in charge of the letter team, but he is also still a member of the renewal team. We also have 3 additional operation resources that have been assigned to help the renewal team. We're working on the DL notices. That's all the work that's in the IMS schedule for us. And right now, all of those notices are in testing. So we've got some bugs that we're working on and final testing for the DL notices. Our hope is that we can get that work completed Kristen has told us by the end of the week. Not put, just to put that out there, so we have a little bit of time to get that done. She encouraged us to finish by Friday. And the team is working to get that work done by Friday. And I think we're in pretty good shape. All right. So right now, we're green in all areas with the exception of testing, but testing would not be red if it weren't for the fact that development was late being completed. So testing is red at least. Are there any questions for the renewal team? Thank you.
Communications update, Coral?
Yes, your purple and blue spreadsheet. This is phase one comms plan, so this covers everything from January through June of this year. Includes OCM training and communication aspects. Some of the newer items on here were the OCM survey that was sent out in December. They started assessing that and working on responses. Because of that, we are creating a SharePoint site to kind of give more information about Motorist Mod. They're working on engagement planning. On page 2, you'll see they have a Change Champion kickoff coming up next month. I believe a letter will be sent out about that to the Change Champions later this week. No new items for training. Communications, if you turn to page 4, a fraud mitigation working group has been enacted. You've heard about the all hands letters meeting and the letters team that's come out of that. I believe Motorist Maintenance and FR is almost done with the letters. Almost. The IT Coalition meeting coming up next month. You've heard about the portal focus groups, and then DOR tax collector training occurring in June. Any questions?
All right. No additional questions. I did have a follow-up comment to all of the project teams. Sonia said that Kristen encouraged them to finish. We are rapidly trying to get development done. We want to make sure we spend adequate time testing, performance testing, performance testing again, and testing some more. We want to spend as much time testing as possible. I've given Lisa some criteria that we said that we would like to have for pilot sites. I think the plan right now, of course, we would start with some of our sites down in South Florida, wherever. We're working through that plan with ESC and make sure we work out any bugs that we can. Chad and I, last year conference, talked to a member of the IT Coalition about doing some early testing with the off of the sandbox that we have to kind of get people kind of playing with it, to see what they think as well, finding stuff early. We want as many people possible to look at this, go over it. That's why we're doing the focus group. We're trying to make sure that we do our due diligence, that we check out as many things possible before we go live. And I believe by doing that, we'll have a smoother implementation, have minor things to deal with, and performance testing is certainly something key to what we're doing that we want to make sure we spend adequate time doing to make sure it's going to be efficient once we get it out there. So I appreciate all of your support on the advisory board, and this is certainly, as I would say, a department effort. You also heard several of the team members say, operations, those folks work for April, been helping out on some of the teams. It was Boyd's idea that as we go through UAT, that as bugs are reported, to get those folks ready, as Craig mentioned, as part of the transition. Part of what we want to do is get them in a position where they can start working on some of the bugs so they can become more familiar with the system, so they're ready to support it once the system goes out. Then, of course, we'll have a stabilization period, but hopefully if everything's run smoothly, everybody's up to speed, and then once we go out into production for phase 1, of course, we're working on phase 2, and we want the operation folks to be up to speed to support, phase 1. But of course, we know that there's a transition period there. But I say all that just to reiterate again, it's a team effort. Lisa, I want to thank her. Every I joked on our last, we had a meeting about some phase 2 stuff a couple weeks ago, and I told her people, it's like, she's a member of the team. Seems like she said she wants a badge. So every meeting is normally now in her county, and we have it's like our second home. So they know what kind of chocolate I like there. And so, really, so just thank you all. And any questions for me or the team?
I have your list ready
Okay.
of pilot sites.
Okay, great.
We have some of everything you asked for.
Okay.
And I have a question. When did you say the sandbox? When are you looking to have that ready?
Chad, sandbox?
We're looking at the sandbox probably within the next, 4 months-ish. We're gonna release it to Matt Duran in Sarasota County as agreed upon. So we'll get the first cut at it and then we'll see where we wanna go from there.
And Lisa, I also got an email that there's a group that's going to be meeting in August, a group of the trainers from the tax collectors, that they're wanting us to come and do a presentation of some sort. Is there a training coalition of some sort?
I think they were trying to get one together.
Okay, I'll forward you.
If you'll forward
I'll
it.
forward you the email. So that just got sent to me yesterday. I think they contacted Sharon Watson, so, and they're asking for somebody to come early, mid-August. I guess that'd be right before conference. That they said some of these people don't attend the conference, so I'll work with you on that. And we'll
Okay.
do what we need to do with some presentations or whatever. Any other questions? Mr. Bailey?
No, sir, thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you.